Hello everyone and welcome back to another movie review video. This is going to be a little bit different than some of my other movie review videos. We're actually going to be reviewing three movies kind of back to back to back in this video. We'll be doing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We'll be doing Barbie as well as Oppenheimer. And we're going to do them in the order that I saw them in. So first one up here is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I want to say I saw this like 2 Wednesdays ago and kind of got busy, so I didn't have time to record a video just for this. So we're doing them all kind of together, and then Barbie and Oppenheimer kind of came out at the exact same time. So, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, of course, starring Tom Cruise, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and a bunch of returning cast members and characters from some of the other previous Mission Impossible films. We have, for example, like Vanessa Kirby, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, and so on returning. Again, this is going to be a spoiler-free video. I'm just going to give you my kind of thoughts on the film. One thing, I thought the story was a little bit more on the kind of convoluted side. Of course, this is a Mission Impossible movie. The story is going to always be kind of pushing those boundaries a little bit, but I think this one pushed those a little bit further than kind of maybe I would like. I definitely liked Mission Impossible Fallout more than this. But again, this is a part one of the part two movie. So basically, when part two comes out, that may change my opinion on this because I'll be able to watch part one and then part two and see basically the entire story. I did feel that the movie did a good job of having a good kind of conclusion point to this movie that would then kind of like lead into part two. It didn't feel like a cliffhanger or anything like that. The action, of course, in these movies is very good. There's great car chases. There is in the trailer you see Tom Cruise drive a motorcycle off of a large cliff. That's in the movie. And you see on the poster there, and then in the trailer, there's a bunch of stuff happening on a train. So the action is very, very good. The characters are cool. There's some new characters coming in as well. They brought in, on the poster here, you have Haley Atwell coming into the series. And let me just see the actress's name because I'm probably going to, at the very least, mispronounce it. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Okay, it's Palm Clementif, I think. I'm probably pronouncing that correctly. Probably better known as Mantis from the MCU Guardians of the Galaxy films. She's in this movie as well. She's on the poster there holding that sword. So I think they were both really good additions to this film. Again, I think I liked Fallout more. I think Henry Cavill was really good in that movie, and the action like involving him and Tom Cruise was really good. So I think I liked it less than that. I don't know where I would really rate it with the other movies because Christopher McQuarrie has also directed, I want to say, Dead Reckoning. He'll be having directing Dead Reckoning Part 1, Part 2, Fallout, and I think like Rogue Nation. So I think he's done, yeah, like at least three so far. And when Dead Reckoning Part 2 comes out, that'll be four. He also directed Top Gun Maverick. So he works very closely with Tom Cruise, and I think they have a very good like working relationship. They definitely make really good like action heavy movies, and they're all just a lot of fun. Definitely had a lot of fun with this, even though I did like Fallout more. The action in this is really good, and Tom Cruise is basically pretty good in it as well, like he always is. But our final score for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is going to be a 7.5. I thought it was thought it was very good. Only cons were the story felt a little bit convoluted to me, and maybe that'll become a little more clear in when they get the second film out. And then, like I said, just liked Fallout a little bit more. So that is going to do it for the Mission Impossible review. We're going to switch over and we're going to do a review for Barbie, and then we're going to follow that with our review for Oppenheimer. We'll be right back with that. And we're now back with our review for Barbie. So we saw this on Friday night. We didn't do a Barbenheimer double feature. We saw Barbie Friday, Oppenheimer on Sunday. So this will be the review for Barbie. This will probably be a little bit shorter than the previous one for Mission Impossible just because a lot of this there's going to be like heavy spoilers if I go too deep into it, which I'm not going to do. But Barbie, starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, written and directed by Greta Gerwig. Very good movie. Um, Definitely covers a lot of issues, like political, societal issues that I did not really expect to be covered in a movie based on a toy property. I guess it feels almost like kind of, I don't want to say anti Pixar, but in a way where um, I don't know how much movies like this is geared toward kids. I don't really think it really is. I think kids will like the cool visuals of Barbie Land, but the story is probably going to go way above kids' heads about what's going on, and I'm not really going to go too deep into that because it'll be a lot of spoilers. But I think the kids might like the Barbie Land stuff, but the adults are definitely going to understand kind of like the main points of this story. So one thing I will say right away is the production design, at least on the stuff in Barbie Land, is amazing. It's just it looks like it would look if you just opened a play set and that's what you got. I grew up in a time where I guess Barbie's been out since the 50s. So during the 80s they were still doing. I guess they are still doing it now. I would imagine. Um, but a lot of that stuff I would see on commercials for TV because you'd be watching like Masters of the Universe or something. You got commercials for Barbies because I think those are both Mattel properties. But the stuff in Barbie Land, like the production design on it, looks like something you would, like basically just be able to pull off a store shelf, open it, and start playing with it. Like the stuff that's supposed to look like it's plastic definitely looks very plasticky. Like even like the water and what have you, like on the beach is plastic. The all the set design with all like just like the heavy amounts of pink looks really good. Apparently there was like a pink paint shortage for a while based on just how much pink paint they were having to use for these sets. And in the trailer, the movie takes place in both Barbie Land and in the real world. So Barbie and Ken eventually end up going into the real world where they kind of discover that, like everything you know, isn't perfect. Everything isn't great. And it's kind of, I want to say like very like existential in certain parts. It covers a lot of like political issues that I didn't necessarily expect from this movie, and a lot of stuff that I didn't expect Mattel necessarily to kind of sign off on. It does kind of cover the kind of pros and cons of this toy line of like what it can be, but then also the reality of what it actually is in certain cases. Because I know there's been a lot of criticisms for the toy line over the years of like giving like unrealistic kind of expectations on what women and girls can or can't do, that kind of stuff that gets covered. The fact that Barbie is meant to kind of basically say like you can be kind of anything. You can be regular Barbie, you can be scientist Barbie, Doctor Barbie, like lawyer Barbie, whatever. There's like hundreds of various different combinations of what Barbie can be and I guess what Barbie has been over the course of this toy line being out. And like Mattel has a presence in the movie as well, so like it definitely feels somewhat like almost like a meta movie, but it's very good. And one other takeaway from this, Margot Robbie is really good, and this is going to be a huge hit for her, even though she's released really good movies lately. A lot of them just didn't kind of like do well, at least like commercially. This one's doing amazing. Hopefully that'll mean more movies for her that like actually are successful. Like she was in Babylon. I liked Babylon, but it didn't, unfortunately did not perform well at the box office. I thought it was a little bit too long as well. But I think the takeaway from this movie though is just Ryan Gosling as Ken. Ryan Gosling is I really like his movies. I remember like there was like a run of films, I want to say in like 2010, 2011, where he was just in so many things. It was like Crazy Stupid Love and Drive and The Ides of March, and then a few years later did The Nice Guys and Blade Runner 2049. Just an amazing actor generally, and he is, I think, kind of like the standout character and actor in this movie. Like he does an amazing job of playing this character and does it in a really kind of like cool way, like in a very like funny way as well. So the movie is very funny. It's more adult comedy, I think. I don't really know if kids are going to even get this movie or really like it. I think they'll like the stuff in kind of Barbie Land just because it is kind of cool to look at and it's pretty, but it doesn't feel like I feel like the jokes are definitely going to go over kids' heads. The kind of political commentary or like societal commentary is going to completely go over kids' heads. Adults definitely liked it, and when we saw it, I think I definitely saw a lot more adults at the movie than children because we saw it. I want to say at 7:30. It was like a Friday night is when we saw it, and it was a pretty full theater. I want to say it could have been sold out, but it was definitely very crowded. So this movie is going to be doing very well. But again, I don't know how much kids are actually going to take away from this movie. Maybe like once they're older and they rewatch it, they'll be able to look at it from like a different perspective. But I think it's very good. My final score on Barbie here is going to be an 8.5. It's very interesting. Like I said, the commentary is really good. Production design is really good. The actors in this movie are amazing, especially Ryan Gosling. But an 8.5 out of 10 for Barbie. We're going to now switch over and go into our review for Oppenheimer. We'll be right back with that. All right, and we are now back with our final review for this video. We are taking a look at Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. I remember seeing trailers and teasers for this like as late as or as early, I guess I should say, as last year. Just right off the bat, very good movie, amazing cast. This covers basically this is a historical film, so like it's not really spoilers necessarily, unless you just don't know like the full amount of information. There's new stuff in here that I learned as well. So, but basically, the basis of this movie is Oppenheimer working to create atomic weapons in New Mexico to potentially that would go on to help end World War II, and then kind of it covers the like moral implications of creating these weapons, like what it meant for the world going forward, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to start off here with just the acting. So this is, I believe, Cillian Murphy's, at least in Christopher Nolan's films, being his first kind of lead role. And I think I remember reading somewhere where basically he had to kind of ask to be in this movie or be the lead. So I don't know if that's actually true or not. In Nolan films, he's usually a supporting character, such as in playing the Scarecrow in the Batman films and so on. But after that, we move into Emily Blunt. She plays one of the love interests of Oppenheimer. We have Matt Damon in the trailer as a general in charge of kind of overseeing what they're working on. You have Robert Downey Jr. playing Louis Strauss, another politician. And then you have, I think, is it Pugh? I don't know, Florence Pugh as another love interest as well. The movie does the thing that Christopher Nolan sometimes does, where he has multiple timelines going on at the same time. You have stuff that covers Oppenheimer's kind of like early academic kind of like life and career. You have the stuff that is happening with them working on the atomic weapons programs. And then you have kind of the aftermath of that. So those are like the three kind of distinctive timelines. There is overlap in those timelines in the movie where it'll show like him being interviewed toward the end of when this like in the 50s, and then it will show him working on stuff in the 40s as well as some of his earlier academic stuff earlier in the film. So and like I did like that Nolan went with black and white for some of these kind of like proceedings, or I don't really want to call them trials, but like basically they're like people are being interviewed to kind of ascertain certain things, and a lot of that is shot in black and white. The cinematography in the movie is just amazing, especially the stuff of when they are in New Mexico. You would just have wide, kind of like open shots. So the cinematography in this movie is like spectacular. One thing that people have been talking about is the actual explosion itself. Apparently, it's completely 100% practical effects from what I've read. And that just is kind of mind-boggling because it would be something that you could very easily do with CG. And then I just like that Christopher Nolan decided to completely go the opposite direction and created this explosion practically. And I remember like actual like nuclear physicists, I think, and like researchers were actually praising how accurate the explosion actually was. I remember Terminator 2 came out, and in the scene where the nuclear bomb goes off in Los Angeles, people were praising that for saying kind of like this is pretty much what would happen if something like that were to go off. But the acting here, Cillian Murphy, absolutely amazing in this movie. He's really good at everything he's in, and I think he's given the opportunity to shine as like a lead actor in this movie. And maybe this will lead to more stuff where he is a lead actor. I think the most recent thing I saw him in, or at least in recent memory, was A Quiet Place Part 2. He was in that, but it was just a supporting role. But again, very good at that supporting role. Emily Blunt, very good. She's basically good at everything I think I've seen her in. I remember I think she was in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. That was a great performance. Matt Damon does a great job here as like the kind of like the general, and he's really good in it. And then Florence Pugh, really good in the limited. She's not in the movie a lot, but limited screen time. But I will say my favorite bit of acting, aside from Cillian Murphy, was easily Robert Downey Jr. It's probably the best I've seen him act in a long time, because I think like everybody remembers him from basically 2008 to 2019, with a few other movies sprinkled throughout, but basically playing Tony Stark. And didn't get a lot of opportunities to do other stuff outside of that. I know he did. I didn't see it, but he did the Doolittle movie. He did something called The Judge with Robert Duvall. I never saw that. And then he did, like a few other kind of things to sprinkle throughout, but kind of Iron Man / Tony Stark, kind of the public's perception of him, I think, is that character. And it probably will be for a while still. But he's amazing in this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if, Cillian Murphy should probably grab an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, but I would be entirely shocked if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't come down with some kind of nomination for at least supporting actor in this movie. He's really, really good. Like probably like a highlight of the movie for me, in my opinion. Just because he's in the movie a lot, because like it basically cuts between him and other stuff going on during this time period, as well as Oppenheimer doing stuff in the past, and like their paths cross. And there's like a lot of like just like government meetings that Robert Downey Jr.'s character is in, and it's just really, really good. The movie is 3 hours long, but it when they're doing the various like interviews, and it's basically you just have this musical score is also just building and building and building as like these people are kind of just like asking him all these questions. Even though it's a lot of people sitting around talking, it felt entirely compelling at the same time. So that was really good. They recommend if you do the Barbie Oppenheimer double feature first, you do Oppenheimer first because it's the longer of the two, and then also probably like the more depressing of the two based on just kind of like the moral implications of what they're working on, and then you see Barbie as a kind of palate cleanser. But Oppenheimer is just another hit for Christopher Nolan. Like I don't think I've ever seen a Christopher Nolan movie I didn't like. This is not an exception. It's an amazing movie. Final score here for Oppenheimer is going to be a 9 out of 10. So 3 pretty good movies. A run of Mission Impossible, Barbie, and Oppenheimer. Don't know what the next movie I'm going to be seeing is. The Ninja Turtles movie, the new Ninja Turtles movie from, I think Seth Rogen is working on that. Looks like it could be interesting. I'll probably be checking that out as well. So if whatever movies I see next, we'll definitely be doing reviews for those. So that is going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one.